What is going on, everybody? It's Skills here, and man, oh man, today I finally want to bring you guys this video because I've been playing around with this new exotic mask, the Vile mask, which works really good with status effect builds, and I'll explain why in a second. And you'll see in this video that is what I'm currently using, a status effect build with the new gear set. It's the new gear set plus this exotic mask that you unlock at level 90. Yes, you unlock it at level 90 of the new season pass, which isn't too hard to get. I feel like the seasons are pretty easy, pretty generous on them on how much XP we get. But remember, you get it at season level 90 of the season pass. So at level 90, everybody gets this. It's on the free track, so just level it up, not too hard to get. Now, when you do pair this with the right builds, those status effect builds, if you get the new gear set and you pair it right, and I'll show you the build that I'm currently using, you guys are going to love it. I'm having a lot of fun running this build, and it's just one of those builds that feels so good to use, especially in group setting. I feel like this set works the best. Well, all CC builds work the best in a group setting. But what you're gonna notice is I do the most damage out of my group. This was a random group I just paired up with who did heroic, and man, oh man, when I tell you I did more damage than all of them, and I was running a CC build, that just tell you how powerful these CC builds are. And you can just see when I do use my gear set and I do get those kills and how everything is just transmitting over and over, and then they just have status effects. Look, this up top, look at that. You see this? Pairing this mask with the new gear set, you guys are going to love it. But what we're going to do is let's get into it, and then we'll show you some more gameplay. So if we get into the build itself, let's talk about the mask, right? Because the Vile mask is what actually makes the build synergize, right? It's going to improve the build overall. So the Vile mask is the exotic mask. I already told you guys, level 90 of the season pass. After that, you guys can find this just farming the open world where the masks are. So when we look at the mask always comes with one skill tier, comes with status effects, hazard protection, and then you can put whatever yellow mod you want. I went with skill haste. Now the talent on here is called toxic delivery. Status effects also apply a damage over time debuff for 10 seconds. Total damage is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade damage and increases by your status effects attributes. Now my concussion grenade, I want to say it's about 1.4 million damage, and I'll show you that real quick. So about 1.4 million. So I'm getting around 700,000 damage of that. But remember, it improves by the status effects, and you'll notice when we go through my build, I have status effects pretty much rolled on every piece. So that's why this piece right here works really good with status effect builds. So if we get into the weapons, right? So we have the Harmony. Now, these are the two weapons I'm going to show you in a second, the ones I prefer with this build. The Harmony, remember, has perfectly in sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage. Using the skill and damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage. Everything is doubled if you have both going at the same time, so that's total 40%. Really great weapon. I personally run the Pestilence as the primary, and that's because of the Plague of the Outcast. Hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, all stacks are transferred to nearby enemies within 25 meters. So it's just more status effects, more debuffs just going to everybody. And that's what's really good. You pair that up with this mask, and you'll see in the gameplay that toxic delivery, the symbol, is always happening no matter what you're doing. Now, I think the best build to run this with is going to be the new gear set, the Eclipse Protocol gear set. Now, the 2-piece, remember, that is about 15% status effects. The 3-piece gives us 15% skill haste, 30% hazard protection, and then, of course, we hit the 4-piece indirect transmission. Your status effects now spread on kill to all enemies within 15 meters and refresh 50% of that duration. So you're getting 50% of the total duration of your initial skill haste. But I run the chest piece, which allows me to increase the range from 15 meters to 20 meters and the refresh percentage from 50% to 75%. Now, on these, you're gonna have skill tier. I recommend running status effects, rolling status effects on all of them, and then I put skill haste mods on all of them too. So there you go. So we have skill tier, status effects, skill haste, and that is perfect right there. That's what I recommend. Now, for the 1 gold piece you're gonna have, I recommend the holster. I went with Wyvern Wear. That gives you that 10% skill damage. Now, the reason I went with a little bit of skill damage and the extra 10% is because that's the initial explosion of the fire starter. So we have the skill tier on here, we put skill damage, and we already have status effects. You want to have those two. If you had to choose one or the other, probably status effects rolled and then skill haste. We have a Eclipse Protocol knee pads, same thing, skill tier, status effects. I told you we're rolling status effects on everything. And then we have the gloves, skill tier, status effects. Now for the backpack, we are going to show you that I'm running this piece over running something like Creeping Death because of the fact that it has a backpack talent which amplifies all damage you deal to status effect targets by 15%. Now amplifies all damage, so I'm going to be pairing this up with a turret and then the fire starter, and that means my turret's going to be getting that extra all damage because it amplified damage by 15%. Now some of you guys might want to swap out the holster and put the Eclipse holster on there, and then you want to run Creeping Death. I'll let you decide that, but I feel like you don't even need Creeping Death with this build. Would it work good? Yes, you could work it, but this is just how I prefer running mine. Now for the turret, look at this. It's giving me 73,000 damage. That does not include the 15% I get from the backpack. So that's just something for you to really keep in mind when running this build. And then the fire starter, look at that base damage, 529,000. And then the burn duration is 11 seconds. The burn damage, 264,000. Now that's what's really cool about this, because the backpack, when I do that damage, I get the extra 15%. Now, the specialization I like running is the survivalist because the talents that we get here. First, while on cover, I get better skill haste. And then also, group members get 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects. So every time I put a status effect, my teammate is benefiting from this. I also get 10% on protection from elites on here. And all that just improves the build overall. Of course, there's other specializations you can run. I just prefer this one because I want to help on my team. Now, if I wasn't running in a group setting, maybe that 10% extra damage to teammates to the enemies really isn't beneficial. But since most of the times when I run CC builds, and I run this build in particular, I run it in a group setting because that's where it's going to excel the best. And why this build is so good is the amount of damage it's doing to so many enemies, right? It's just not one or two enemies. It's usually like 4 or 5 enemies. And you can just see the numbers pop up. The numbers on the right will pop up. You just see the amount of damage that's consistently coming out from the turret, right? The turret's getting damaged. The status effects are getting damaged, and everything is just dying instantly. And then if I use my pestilence, it just even improves it. And you guys just see how we control this. There's actually another status effect build on our team, but he was running the shock and the foam sticky. So when he did that, it was easy for me to apply that. But look how everything just transferred, right? Look how all my status effects transferred to the team over there, and that's what I love, right? Because they were all within that 20 meters. So once the enemy died, it all transferred over, and having this gear set with that mask goes hand in hand. Just look at this. It's so fun, so good to use. I really enjoy this build, and these guys never even got out of the doorway. But this is just one of many builds I have coming to you guys. I've been working on them, but remember, we had the raid, and I was kind of tied up with the raid. It took us a little longer than I expected, and it wasn't more about the builds because I felt like we had the builds. It was more about the mechanics, learning the mechanics. They were a little tough to like master, but we ended up getting it done. I think it took us a little over 24 hours, but now people are knocking it out in under an hour. So I will be hopefully trying to bring you guys some tips and tricks on that too. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions on this build in particular. If there's any other way you guys run it, that'd be great to know too. I am gonna wrap this up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys again so much for all the support you guys have been showing on my channel. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you channel memberships too, because remember, those channel memberships are another way to help support the channel, because everything is really just based off YouTube ads. If the YouTube doesn't pay out, well, we have channel memberships, which are always a small way to help out the channel. I think $1.99 is the lowest channel membership, and it's an easy way. You get an emote when I do stream. You do get a little badge for streams and for when you comment on my videos, which is kind of cool too. And I think the cheapest one is like $1.99. So it's a great way to like show support to the channel. So I just want to say thank you guys again. I will see you guys in the next Division 2 video. But until then, nothing but skills out.